Hi everyone, today we're going to continue solving compound inequalities. We're going to write, solve, and graph multi-step compound inequalities. So let's look at this example. To get a discount at a diner, you must be less than 10 years old. So if I had a 10 on here, we're saying less than that. So we would have an open circle and we'll go this way. Or, you see that or? So we know what this one's going to look like. You have to be at least 60 years old. So at 60, I'm not counting, I'm just putting random spots. I'm going to need a closed circle because at least means greater than or equal to. So at least 60, going to put my closed circle there, and numbers that are greater than or equal to are going to go this direction. So to get a discount, your age, and we put X, has to be less than 10, or your age has to be greater than or equal to 60. Let's look at the next example. To participate in the White Elephant gift exchange, you must buy a gift that is more than $10. So at $10, we're going to have an open circle. More than is going to go this direction. And, I see that and, has to be no more than 25. So I had $25 down here somewhere. No more than means less than or equal to. $25. So it's going to be in this range. More than 10, but less than or equal to 25. We're not going to go out here and spend $26, $27, $30, but we're not also going to spend $5. So to write this, put your X in the middle, 25 on one end. It's just kind of nice to do it over the number line. You can see your numbers. 10 on the other end. Arrows pointing to the left. Because my 25 is a less than or equal to, I need to add the equal to portion of the inequality. Okay, now let's solve some. As you'll notice, I see that 4/5 in there right away. That's going to make this more complicated. Even though I normally draw 2 lines down, I'm going to stick with 1 this time just because I start having a lot of writing. First thing I want to do is send home these acquaintances. This plus 2. So I'm going to subtract 2. If I subtract 2 from this, I have to subtract it from the right side, and I need to subtract it from the left side. You can think of that as 2 different inequalities. If I ignore this part, I'd have to subtract 2 here and here. If I ignore this part over here, I'd have to subtract 2 here. So we just do it for all of them. I'm left with 8 on the right, 4/5 X in the middle, and negative 24 on the left. Well, now I need to get rid of this 4/5. How do I do that? Well, let's multiply by the reciprocal, 5/4. If I multiply that, the middle by 5/4, I have to also multiply the left side by 5/4 and the right side. Don't forget to simplify before you multiply. This cancels out. So I'm left with just X in the middle My 4 and my negative 24, I can simplify. This will become a 1. This will be a negative 6. Now I can multiply 5 times negative 6 and get negative 30 on the left side. It's negative 30 over 1, so that's just negative 30. Simplify over here. This will become a 1. This will become a 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 over 1, which is 10. Let's bring down my inequality signs. Less than or equal to, and less than. So when I graph this, at the 10, I'm going to have a closed circle. At the negative 30, let's put that about here, I'm going to have an open circle. And my solution to this inequality is everything in between here, including the 10, but not including the negative 30. Oops, that was really wiggly line, but all of this, my solution to this inequality. Okay, I have an OR inequality. That means I solve both of them. I start with this one because it looks easier. I have a negative x, which is the same as negative 1x. So to get rid of that negative, I divide both sides by negative 1. Because I divided by a negative number, I have to flip that inequality. So I'm having x is greater than negative 4 divided by negative 1, 4. Okay, on this side, I need to subtract 5 from both sides. And I will end up with negative 3x. And 3. Let's divide both sides by negative 3. Again, because I'm dividing by a negative number, I need to flip that inequality. So x has to be less than 3 divided by negative 3, negative 1. So let's graph it. At negative 1, I put that negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why. Sometimes I'm precise, sometimes I just am random. At negative 1, I'm going to have an open circle. And my solution is all numbers less than negative 1. At 4, I will also have an open circle. And all numbers greater than 4. That's it. Next example. You might say, that one looks kind of weird. It looks like an and one, but my inequalities are pointing to the right. That seems kind of wrong. Let's take a look at this. First thing I want to do is feed the birds. Negative 4 times x, negative 4x. Negative 4 times 1, negative 4. 0 over here, 36 over here. And my inequalities are still this direction. Next step, let's add 4 to all parts. I'm adding 4 here, which means I'm adding 4 over here on the right, and I'm also adding 4 on the left. So now I have 40 on the left. This cancels out, and I have negative 4x in the middle. and I have 4 on the right. And my inequalities are still pointing to the right. I think you might see what's coming. I have to get rid of this -4 by dividing by -4. If I divide the middle by -4, I have to divide the left side by -4 and the right side by -4. And because I'm dividing by negatives, all of my inequalities have to flip. So I have x in the middle. This cancels out. 40 divided by -4 is -10. 4 divided by -4 is -1. So at -10, I'll put that about here, -10, I will have a closed circle. Get near the bottom of my screen, unfortunately. At -1, that's 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. -1, I will have a closed circle also. And it's going to be greater than -10. Oops, it's not writing. Greater than -10, but less than or equal to, no, greater than or equal to -10, less than or equal to -1. It's going to be all of this in here. Have another or. I don't know where that globe came from, but that was weird. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to click on my pen. Maybe that's the problem. Notice I have variables on both sides here. So let's see what this is going to end up looking like. First thing I want to do is go to the bigger party on this one. I have 5x here, -7x. Let's move everything to the left side by adding 7x to both sides. I have 12x minus 5 on the left. And this cancels out, and I'm just left with -5 on the right. Next step, I need to add 5 to both sides. This cancels out. I'm left with 12x and 0. -5 plus 5 is 0. Last step, I'm going to divide both sides by 12. I'm dividing both sides by a positive number. Therefore, I do not need to flip out. I'm going to have x greater than 0 divided by 12 is 0. Let's look at my other one. You can see the ors can be longer than the ands. Go to the bigger party, 3x here, 1x here. So I'm going to get rid of this 1x by subtracting x from both sides. I have 2x plus 5. And on this side, my x cancels out, and I'm left with -1. Let's subtract 5 from both sides. (2x). I don't know why I sometimes draw lines. I think it just helps me see them sometimes. This cancels out, and on the left side, I have -6. Last step, let's divide both sides by 2. I have x. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. I did not multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, so I don't flip out. Bring my inequality down. So at 0, I'm going to have an open circle. So it's 0. And I'm saying numbers greater than 0, so it's going to go this direction. At negative 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, I'm going to have a closed circle. And I want all numbers less than or equal to negative 3, so my line's going to go this direction. And you see they're pointing in opposite direction. It is an OR inequality. I have another OR. Draw my lines down. Let's send home these acquaintances first by subtracting 2 from both sides. I have x plus 4. See, this can get complicated. Divided by 3 on this side and 8 on this side. Need to get rid of this 3 next. Let's multiply both sides by 3. This cancels out, and I'm left with x plus 4. On the left and 24 on the right. Extend my lines a little bit. One last step, I need to subtract 4 from both sides. Again, I'm not multiplying or dividing by any negative number, so I do not need to flip my signs. My x has to be less than or equal to 20. Guessing that this is going to be an even bigger number on this one, because I have an OR. So first thing I'm going to do is multiply both sides by 7. I'm going to get rid of this denominator, multiply by 7. Have this cancel. 6 plus 2x. Is greater than or equal to 70. Let's subtract 6 from both sides. Send home those acquaintances. Cancels out, and I have 2x. And 64. Last step, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Not multiplying or dividing by any negative number, so x is going to be greater than or equal to 64 divided by 2 is 32. So at 20, I'm going to have a closed circle. And less than or equal to is going to go to the left. Let's see what I'm going to count by 20, 24, 26, 24, 28, 32. I could count by 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32. I'll count by 2s. I'm going to have a closed circle also at 32. And greater than or equal to is going to go to the right. I believe this is my last example. Going to draw my lines down. After I said before that I wasn't going to do both, I'm still doing both. Just helps me keep things organized. I need to send home this negative 2. Let's add 2 to both sides. Well, to all sides. Add 2, and add 2. I'm left with negative 11, negative m, and negative 10. Now, remember, this is the same as negative 1m, so to get rid of this, I have to divide by negative 1. So now I have a positive 11. I have an m in the middle. And I have a 10 here. Now you're going to notice what happens. These have to flip out. I divided by a negative number. I need to flip both of my inequalities. And you'll notice that I always say that when I have these compound inequalities with the ands, they point to the left. Let's see what this looks like. I'm saying m is less than or equal to 11. If 11 was here, I would have a closed circle, and it's going to go this direction. I'm also saying that m has to be greater than 10. I put 10 about here. I'm going to do an open circle. And numbers greater than 10 are this way. So it is an and, but it's not written correctly. And you'll see that my smaller number's on the left and my bigger number's on the right. We need to swap it. We're going to rewrite it so my 10 is on the left. My 11 is on the right. My m is still in the middle. But I can't just flip these inequalities. I'm saying m is greater than 10. So I need to have the open circle with the 10. So I flip this inequality over here with the 10. Then I flip this inequality over here with the 11 because it's going to be less than or equal to 11. And you can see it here. If I rewrote it with my graph, I would have my 10. I would have my 11 less than or equal to, less than. My arrows are now pointed to the left the way I like them. I have the open circle at the 10, so I don't have the or equal to with the 10. I have the closed circle with the 11, so I do. So keep that in mind. When you flip a compound inequality around, you don't just, take this one and turn it around. This one is over here. This one is over here. The 11 inequality has to stay with the 11. That one has the or equal to. It needs to stay with the 11. So when you're given a situation, sometimes it's easier to graph first and then write your inequality. That's it. Have a great day.